March 31st. Today's story about the Frank and Fairy. Frank was the son of a poor village carpenter. Every day he go to the forest to cut trees with his father. One day he sat down on a log to take some rest. Suddenly he heard a cry, "Help me, help me." He stood up with a jerk and looked about, but there was no one there. "Please help." Frank heard the voice again. This time Frank peeped in through the hole in the log and saw a tiny fairy inside. She was wearing a sparkling pink dress, had beautiful white wings, and wore a gold crown around her bun. "Oh, she's gorgeous," thought Frank. "Please take me out of here," she cried again. Frank at once put his hand inside the hole and picked up the fairy. The fairy thanked and asked, "What can I do for you?" Frank composed himself and said, "I belong to a very poor family, and with the money that my father and I earn, we do not even get two proper meals a day. So please make my father rich." The fairy's eyes welled up with tears as she heard about Frank's flight. She waved her wand and suddenly disappeared. "Where did you go, fairy?" cried Frank anxiously. But alas, the fairy had left. That evening, when Frank and his father returned home, there stood a palatial house with big iron gates instead of their thatched hut. "Where did our hut go?" cried Frank's father in disbelief. They walked in through the gates and were greeted like kings by the servants. Suddenly, Frank's mother came running and hugged them and said, "God has answered our prayers." Looked up at the sky and thanked the fairy. Thank you for listening today's story.